Hello, my love. Hope you're well. Happy 6/6 portal. The energies are quite intense. Almost a continuation of last week's full moon energies. So you may be experiencing some intense nostalgic emotions, and this can be a combo of happy memories, but also maybe some past uncomfortable memories. And one of the things that's been brought to my attention is connected to what we were talking about in yesterday's video, where it can feel like you're ready to move forward. And maybe I didn't speak about it exactly like this, but I'm curious if any of you have ever felt like you're making progress and then you hit a very specific point in your progress and feel almost like you're pulled back to the beginning, or you lose the momentum. And you're not necessarily losing all of your progress, but there's certain things that you just can't seem to get past this certain point. So it could be things like you make a certain amount of money and then you make more money, and then you like go back to the amount that you were making, and it seems like you can never build momentum in that direction, even though it makes zero sense for the work that you put in. Something like that. But also it can be with like physical health progress. You might find that you're working on your health and you're starting to feel better and you start to build momentum, and then something happens and it feels like you revert back to where you were. Or this can even happen in relationships where you feel like you're making progress and things are going well. And then potentially all of a sudden something happens and it's like the trust unravels that was built and you're back to square one. It can be in clearly just those are some ideas, but this can happen with just about anything. And I know we sometimes look at this or call it like looping or saying that we no longer want to loop. There's a few things that have come to light during this illumination series as we've been working deeper into the ancestral and past life information. And I wanted to share some here because it feels really important for anybody who resonates with it. And what's coming through, because I really sat with the energy around sabotage, like this idea of like not being able to build momentum, even though it makes zero sense considering the energy that you're putting in, if we're still not seeing the level of results that actually match the level of work. And we've worked on this before, and had breakthroughs, but now this energy of sabotage and self sabotage is coming up. And what came through is where this appears to be connected to where we have gone through something uncomfortable in our lives and we're not able to address it, or we're told to just get over it, or really just didn't have any choice because there was survival circumstances and you just had to stuff it and keep going, or it was the societal programming that tells us to be tough and strong and to stuff it down and keep going and be tough and get it done and just let it go, things of that nature. What was coming up is that that is what is underneath the stagnation. So it was like this burden energy, the burden of what we've carried, what the ancestors carried, and underneath the burden energy was the stagnation. And under the stagnation is the true life force energy. And how I was seeing this in the energies was where the burden and the stagnation was actually dulling the inner fire, the inner flame. Remember the last two videos, the fire card came up. And so this has been opening up more and more when we think about that soul flame, your own inner twin flames, trifold flames, even. And so I wanted to share this here just to have that awareness that sometimes if it feels like you're looping or you feel like you're sabotaging or things are being sabotaged and you have no idea why, it could simply be old information from past traumas that got stuck or frozen. And it's just a good place to look if you're feeling those things. Now, if you're not feeling stuck, if you are not feeling that you're unable to build momentum, then by all means, just let this information go. Maybe it'll be relevant for you one day down the road. But if, this makes sense for you now, you could just sit with that and see what that supports for you. I suggest simply just setting that intention that if you felt like you haven't been able to build momentum or there are areas that are feeling stuck, absolutely, sometimes it is just time to surrender. What I'm seeing and sensing is that a lot of the seeds that we have planted are actually starting to bloom and blossom. And as those are starting to blossom, what's happening is we're being guided essentially to weed out the garden so that there's space for the seeds to grow into bigger plants and bigger trees and things of that nature. If we take what we want, right, and we use the euphemism of a garden. And if what you want to create in your life, you want to plant that in the foundation, plant it in your garden, those seeds. And as they strengthen and build momentum, of course, you have to go in and make more space and weed out what isn't working. And in some cases, the new growth, the seeds you've planted, the intentions that you have created are actually what is bringing up what can't stay anymore to the surface. So your growth, your intention, it is working. And what it's doing is as it's growing, again, it's pushing up what can no longer stay in your subconscious, in your energetic field. Okay. So if you're interested, the Illumination series is going into supporting some of this, but I also wanted to just bring it to your attention if you've been feeling this, because it seems that there's a lot of energy of depression, sadness, nostalgia, resentment, anger, frustration coming up to again unravel out in new and deeper ways because as all of that moves out of the cells, out of the body, out of the subconscious, guess what that does? It creates space for you to land. It creates space for that inner fire, that inner life force, that inner creation to come out, to expand from the inside out as well. There's this sense that I'm feeling that lots of new creation energy is wanting to come forward, is wanting to build momentum. And as I'm saying this, I feel guided to actually pull a card for the feminines. And let's see what wants to come through for that. Guide the illuminated path. So we're literally working on the illumination series. That's funny. Okay, so for the feminines, there's the wolf I spoke about the other day too. Maybe that was on a member video. Well, the wolf is the teacher and it's definitely coming forward. And I want to actually pull some more on this because what I'm feeling from the energy of this card is actually really interesting. But what's coming through is that this aspect of the feminine, um, whether you identify as a feminine or it's simply your internal feminine energy, what this feels like to me is oh, this is interesting. The energy is that it's like frozen in time, yet simultaneously what is being reactivated, what is coming to light. And as I'm saying that, I just spoke about that like inner fire being like suppressed, or what's the word? It's like smothered. It's like a smothered inner creation or an inner fire. It's not that the flame goes out. Your life force has always been present. This is more like where it got smothered by the stagnation and smothered by the burden or the um, dissociation, or just what's coming to me is like just trying to survive and function in society. But what I'm feeling and why this is coming up in this way is like this is the part of the feminine that's really wanting to come forward in a new way. It's this embodiment of the wise feminine, the guide, the intuitive, the creative, the embodied, the strong earth, water elements of the feminine. Okay, I'm going to pull some tarot with this. Let's see. What else would be beneficial for the feminines to know? Oh, wow. Okay. So this is interesting because there was a card flipped up in the deck and it landed on the top, and it's the Nine of Pentacles. And when I said what would be beneficial for the feminines to know, I opened to the Empress. And with these two cards given this guide, what it feels like is where you have been embodying and where you've been working to embody in the Empress energies. In this aspect, that is, remember a few weeks ago when I said there was even more gifts that the feminines were not even aware of, that were available, that were within, that never even had the safe space to come out? Well, as we're moving from surviving into those thriving energies, that is what's actually allowing this aspect to be illuminated. It's allowing this aspect to feel safe enough to come forward out of the need to survive and hide, and actually be able to release those past trauma responses and to be able to come more fully into the Empress energies. So it feels like this space between like that full manifestation of the Ten of Pentacles and the Empress energy, that it's all such embodied earthy energy, is this um, focus on that inner fire, that inner creation energy. Okay. I can feel that there's more that wants to come with this, but I can also feel, look, right under the Nine of Pentacles was the Eight of Pentacles. It, it, I feel like I want to give this a little bit of space and let it simmer, because I can feel more is opening. For any of you that want to work with the series, it's the first two sessions are available now. And for those of you interested in where this energy is evolving to, I will come on and do a member video in the next few hours or so as we let this energy open and reveal itself. And of course, as I'm guided, I will be here to share what is opening or coming forward. Would love to hear from you if it feels aligned, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Take care. Much love.